You're useless. Just keep doing menial tasks around the hospital, or better yet, quit already. You know you won't get any real work, and the hospital hates paying your salary. It's a waste having you around. For the sake of the hospital and the patients, isn't it time you quit? As I was taking a smoke break on the rooftop, it was Dr. Jones, known as an elite physician in the hospital, who said that to me. Dr. Jones and I are the same age and have nearly the same career timeline. But the environments we worked in were completely different. I bounced around different university hospitals in New York, working as a town doctor. Then, shortly after, I was selected by a friend of my father and offered a position at this hospital where Dr. Jones works. To me, it was a university hospital I would never work at again. That's what I thought, but life is truly unpredictable. Recently, with the retirement of that veteran doctor, positions moved up from the bottom, which was good. However, lately, many young and mid-career doctors have been leaving for personal reasons. The hospital, in a rush, has been scrambling to recruit new doctors. As a result, I received an offer saying they absolutely needed me, and although I explained my situation and declined several times, my father's strong recommendation left me no choice. So, I reluctantly returned to work as a doctor there. For a doctor who has worked as a town physician, working at a university hospital or general hospital is like stepping into the spotlight. This means that every interaction with a patient can bring enormous pressure to bear. Such situations inevitably arise. My name is James Davis. I am 45 years old this year, have no family, and have always enjoyed being single. This has been the case for a while now. It was a long time ago, but I did have a family. I had a loving wife and daughter, and the three of us were my whole world. I truly lived a happy life. Around that time, I was also working at a general hospital in New York City. While securing my daughter's future, I was also building a happy life with my wife, Linda. That's what I thought. But what humans build can easily and suddenly crumble with the right trigger. Linda, Patricia. One day, Linda and our daughter Patricia were in an accident. They were rushed to the hospital where I worked. I performed surgery on Linda, while Dr. Brown, who was renowned as the best surgeon in the hospital, operated on Patricia. Both surgeries started almost simultaneously. It was a heartbreaking sight. Usually, in such situations, family members do not perform the surgery because emotions can run high, leading to mistakes. But this time, I insisted. I will save my wife. I will definitely save her. I pleaded firmly with the department head and the hospital director, determined to perform the surgery myself and not let any other doctor near. There were some doctors who opposed. But given the urgency of the situation and the lack of available doctors at that time, I was entrusted with her care, prioritizing the patient's condition. Scalpel, culture forceps. What's her blood pressure? 80/40. That's a bit low. Add another 200 units of blood transfusion. It's okay, I'll save her. I will not give up. The doctors and assistants around me kept saying, that was the most impressive surgical technique we've ever seen. But those words were all in vain. In the end, I couldn't save my wife, Linda. One doctor tried to console me, saying she was already in critical condition when she was brought in. It probably wouldn't have made a difference who performed the surgery, but those words didn't reach my heart. Patricia was in almost the same condition, and about 20 minutes after the surgery, it was clear she had no chance of survival. Sometimes, even in everyday accidents, there's nothing that can be done. Linda, Patricia. In such moments, facing the life of a patient you couldn't save, some doctors give up on life altogether. If only I could have cloned myself to treat them both at the same time, or if the facilities had been better. As the days passed filled with such futile thoughts, I naturally wanted to quit being a doctor. But then another patient came to me and said, "Doctor, thank you. Thanks to you, I feel so much better, truly. Thank you." Their gratitude somewhat saved my heart at that moment. Maybe I am still needed by other patients. With that thought wavering in my mind, having no other plan, I continued as a doctor without any clear direction. However, I had lost all hope and confidence in life. Soon after, I resigned from the general hospital where I had been working and settled into being a town doctor in the suburbs. It was because of the gratitude from one patient. It was because of my father's words. Continue being a doctor, don't quit. Those 2 episodes were the only support for my heart at that time, yet I still continued as a doctor. Initially, every day was unbearable, but the words "if you stay a doctor long enough, you'll have such days" were one of my supports. I wanted to somehow turn my life around, to find hope in living somewhere again. With those thoughts and emotions, I was probably desperately struggling to survive at that time. No matter the situation, people strive to find hope to survive. At that moment, I felt like I understood what it meant to be human. I sealed that tragedy deep in my heart and then devoted myself to my patients with all my energy. Somehow, all those days and efforts paid off. My reputation became somewhat well known in the area. That doctor truly understands his patients. He offers reassuring words when you need them. His presence is soft and kind. Such rumors spread among the patients and eventually reached my father and the director of this university hospital, who then strongly recommended that I work here. What kind of doctor understands his patients? What kind of doctor has a kind presence? I couldn't save the ones I loved the most. I let them die. Even with this new job, such self-deprecating thoughts swirled in my mind. Therefore, I only accepted a part-time position, with the condition that I wouldn't be given any difficult surgeries or treatments. By explaining my situation to the hospital and submitting my request from the start, I was able to work on those terms. The part-time position reduced my workload significantly compared to a full-time doctor, which made it easier for the hospital to accommodate. However, as months and then a year passed, my approach started to attract negative attention. This wasn't among patients, but among the doctors and nurses I worked with. Doesn't Dr. Davis always back out when it comes to difficult treatments? Why is a doctor who can't handle proper treatments working here? He's just a salary thief. No one at the hospital knew about my past. I had sealed away all memories of that tragedy, trying to forget. Only the director, my father, and a few colleagues I had worked with knew about my history. I had also asked the director to never speak of it, so it was natural that no one knew. The reason I asked for secrecy was obvious. I didn't want to relive the past if I continued working as a doctor. I never wanted to experience that period of extreme anxiety, fear, and suffering again. But despite that, it was Jones, the elite doctor in the hospital, who started making sarcastic remarks to me. Jones graduated from Kyoto University's medical school and had held high-ranking positions in several hospitals due to his skills. However, I heard he mostly gave directions and rarely performed emergency or routine surgeries himself, leaving that to other doctors and handling patient care only before and after operations. This was what other doctors and nurses who knew him said about his past approach. Now, I'm not sure. By the time I joined, he had been working here for several years, gaining various experiences. It's possible he's no longer the same person. As someone who had completely lost confidence as a doctor, I couldn't muster the strength to argue with him from the depths of my heart. Then one day, I made a mistake at work. It wasn't a mistake with a patient, but a clerical error. I forgot to include an item on a receipt and submitted it as is. You're useless. Just keep doing menial tasks around the hospital, or better yet, quit already. You know you won't get any real work, and the hospital hates paying your salary. It's a waste having you around. For the sake of the hospital and the patients, isn't it time you quit? Jones seized the opportunity and confronted me, unleashing a barrage of insults, urging me to quit. As veteran nurse heard Williams this, he stepped in. Dr. Jones, that's not fair. Everyone makes mistakes. But Jones retorted with all his might. Are you an idiot? One mistake can cost a patient's life. Doctors can't afford to make mistakes. This is basic. If you think like that, you should quit nursing immediately. He was absolutely right. I turned to Nurse Williams, who had defended me, and said, I'm sorry, thank you. But Dr. Jones is right. Mistakes are unacceptable in a hospital. Even though I had no right to say such things, I expressed my gratitude to her with the utmost humility. That was all I could do. At that moment, I thought, maybe I shouldn't be working here. Then, on the same day I made the mistake, an emergency patient arrived, as if on cue. The patient had a rare disease and had been in an accident, requiring an immediate, highly complex surgery. But it was Sunday, and most of the full-time doctors weren't there. Jones had only stopped by for another matter, and there were hardly any other doctors available. Get in touch with Dr. Miller immediately. And Dr. Johnson too. Dr. Miller and Dr. Johnson were excellent surgeons, but it was hard to reach them. When we finally contacted Dr. Johnson, he was far away on another assignment. Dr. Jones, please. Naturally, Jones was chosen as the lead surgeon. He, along with other doctors and assistants, immediately took the patient to the operating room. At that moment, I was also told to assist. The reason I was there was simply because there were no other doctors available. I can't handle this kind of situation. Those words almost were said out loud several times, but facing an emergency patient, I couldn't say such things. Of course, the internal conflict within me was immense, even though I wasn't the one performing the surgery. Once again, I'm facing the possibility of losing another patient. This anxiety kept growing in my mind. As we prepared and got ready for surgery, just before it started, Patricia. The patient muttered that name on the operating table. Patricia. My daughter's name. The patient on the table had said the name of my beloved daughter. The patient's name was Mary Smith. She had a daughter named Patricia, and they lived in a single-parent household. At that moment, something inside me snapped. Immediately after, this patient might not make it. Severe bruises all over, and significant organ damage. It's been too long. I'll do what I can, but it's probably hopeless. Jones said this loudly enough for all the doctors and assistants present to hear. The moment I heard that, a fierce anger surged within me. Hey, you! This person is fighting for her life. Don't ever say something like that in front of her again. Before I knew it, I had said that to Jones. I didn't raise my voice, but spoke in a calm tone. However, my stance must have been very sharp. Jones seemed tense, surprised that someone usually as mild-mannered as I was saying such things. To Jones, my words sounded like, save this patient no matter what. With other doctors and assistants around, the atmosphere shifted to a united effort to save her. This was the opposite of what Jones had intended. As I later learned, Jones's earlier statement was a way of implying that if the patient didn't survive, it wouldn't be his fault. He wanted to convey that her injuries were too severe from the accident for any treatment to make a difference. But when he was forced to approach the surgery with a determination to save her, he became visibly nervous and frightened, and his hands began to tremble. Dr. Jones, are you okay? The others began to worry, and Jones grew even more nervous. There's no way we can proceed with the surgery like this. Right after everyone made that judgment. It's okay, I'll perform the surgery, I told them, looking straight at Jones. What? All eyes and attention were on me. You can't be serious. Jones looked at me with an expression of disbelief. We don't have time, every second counts. I then proceeded with an 8-hour surgery. After hearing Jones's earlier words, a strange calmness settled within me. I felt resurgence of confidence, reminiscent of the days before the tragedy. I methodically followed the procedures I had honed over the years, administering the necessary treatments to the patient. Amazing. Everyone around seemed astonished, witnessing a side of me they had never seen before. I had always hidden everything about my life, my career, and my personal matters. Revealing them would have destroyed the fragile foundation I had left, forcing me to deny my current self again. Caught in such irrational fears, the person everyone saw during that surgery must have been a fresh surprise. It's all okay now. Thank you for your hard work. After about 8 hours, the surgery was finally over. We managed to get through it without damaging other organs or tissues, relying on the patient's strength to pull through. Then, a few people came up to me. Doctor, who are you really? With such impressive surgical skills, why are you only working part-time? I've never seen such an amazing surgery before. They all said things like that. But after the surgery, I returned to my usual self and said, no, it's not about my skills. It was her strong will to live, thinking about her daughter, that got her through. The power and will to live surpass any advanced technique or medicine. We are just here to support that strength to live. I said this every time someone praised me. Hey, Davis. After everyone had left, Jones came up to me again. With a stern expression, as if he was angry, he said, what was that all about, huh? I had a good idea of what he meant. With skills like yours, why are you working part-time? Have you been deceiving everyone? Are you just taking it easy in your current position? All these doubts were in his mind. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I could tell that this was his true feeling. Being the same age, he felt comfortable saying these things to me. But I felt the same way, and I could openly share everything that had happened to me with Jones. I told him how I had pursued a medical career, only to fail to save the most important people in my life, my wife and daughter. I told him how I had given up on my life as a doctor and even considered ending my life altogether. As he listened, Jones initially kept his stern expression, but gradually, he started to really listen. Eventually, he sat down on the sofa, clasped his hands in a praying position on his lap, and stared silently at one spot. Then, Nurse Williams happened to walk by on an errand. She came over and listened to what I had just told Jones. I can't believe you went through all that and have such incredible surgical skills, seriously. If that was the case, you should have said so from the beginning, you idiot. Jones had a puzzled expression but said, I've been the worst kind of doctor. I only cared about my status and never thought about the patients. In fact, I even used patients to boost my status. He mumbled this to himself, reflecting deeply on his past behavior. But you, where did you learn those skills? That was no ordinary surgery. Even seasoned veteran surgeons would hesitate at such a complex operation. He then asked me. Before I could answer, Nurse Williams stepped in and said, of course he could do it. He's a graduate of Tokyo University's medical school, a top-tier doctor, she said, glancing at me with a slight smile. Is that true? Well, I guess I'm beaten. A few months later, I am now working full-time at this university hospital. I was promoted from part-time to a full-time doctor and have taken over Jones's position, serving the patients. Jones left the hospital shortly after and eventually started working as a town doctor in the suburbs. We occasionally meet up to share updates and talk about our future dreams. We've settled into this kind of relationship. The patient I operated on, Mary Smith, has since made a remarkable recovery. Just recently, she was discharged, and yesterday, she visited me with her daughter. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, I can start a new chapter in my life. Thank you. Thank you so much. You saved my only mother. You truly are our lifesaver. They thanked me from the bottom of their hearts. Though I couldn't save my beloved wife and daughter, seeing this new life saved made me feel as if they had come back to me. My heart began to warm a bit. This warmth gave me a new hope for tomorrow, much like the day a patient once expressed their gratitude to me. When I looked at Smith's daughter, Patricia, I felt she somehow resembled my own daughter, Patricia.